What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's midday market recap. My name is Brad, and this is Own the Chaos, where we talk about everything over-the-counter penny stocks. And today's kind of a slow day. We were talking with them on our morning mentorship about some plays that look like they may have had potential, but there was some really big mistakes that we were able to avoid today. So I kind of wanted to recap that on what we were able to discover, and maybe that'll help you in your trading career. Maybe you'll want to join us. So if you're interested in what I'm talking about, we have a community of like-minded individuals of over almost 3,700 peeps. It's been an awesome growth over the last, really since 2019, we've seen amazing growth. And so if you're interested in checking that out, it's a free platform. It's called WeTradeHQ. It's at WeTradeHQ.com. The links are in the description. And my mentorship that I'm talking about is a paid membership that I go live with folks between 9 and 10 a.m. We just kind of review some of the stuff that's going on news-wise and break that down, do some due diligence, and try to figure out what might be a smarter play and what might not be such a smarter play. Or is it best to just sit on your hands and wait to see what might develop once the market opens? And so that's kind of what we saw today with one particular ticker. I'll go ahead and share that with you in just a moment. But before I do, let me welcome some folks in here. So for Tom Brown, Blade Runner, what's going on? Yeah, OTCs are better than penny stocks. But everybody just kind of associates OTCs with penny stocks. But the reason why I love OTCs specifically is just because of the insane volatility that we experience. It really is a fun and wild ride when you really get one that kind of goes. And, but it's also important to watch out for ones that may go the other way, because they can drop like a rocket or drop like a rock, before you even know it. So it's important to watch out for some of those. And so somebody brought up this morning that it's probably almost more important to try to know which ones to avoid than it is to know which ones to actually buy. So I thought that was a good point. And so we'll go over that right quick. So I'm going to share my screen with you as soon as I remember how to do it. Good grief. I was without coffee this morning, I can tell. So this is the ticker we're talking about, and obviously you can see the chart looks ugly as anything, but one thing that we talk about within the OTC that gets us excited, gets us going and motivated to really kind of do some more work or do some more homework on a particular ticker is reinstatement. So if I've been starting to use this OTCRE scanner a lot more, and so one of the folks within our mentorship group noticed ATWT. Really, they said that they saw value in this because of the share structure, how it was so small and that it could potentially make a major move with little money to really get behind it. And he was right. I'm not saying that it didn't move, because it actually did. It had a 400% move. But one thing that you have to understand within penny stocks and even the OTC in general is liquidity. You have to understand what liquidity is and what that actually means. So if I go to otcmarkets.com, it's where I do most of my due diligence when I'm looking up share structure of a company, I want to look up filings and that sort of thing. I look at the float, and this float is super small. It's very, very small, which means that it could go forever if it wanted to on really not a lot of dollar volume. And it did start to do that this morning. It literally had, so I can show you here, I'll pull it up for you. Oh shoot, where'd it go? Here it is, ATWT. So this is my scanner. If you guys aren't familiar with this, this is Equity Feed. I use this for all of my scanning to try to find value in stocks whenever they arise. And so this, look, it's only got $4,933 in dollar volume, as you can see right here, and it's up 164%. This morning, though, on really only $1,600, it was up nearly 400%, which, obviously that would widen your eyes a little bit if you didn't know what you were looking at, and you'd be like, holy cow, look at that percentage increase, but it's not always that simple. So when you're looking at something like this, you say to yourself, okay, wow, it only took $1,600 to move this from, the open today. Really, the low was at 4 cents. Yesterday, it closed at what I think it was like under 3 cents. So it literally was already up this morning over 100% at at the open. So people just started slapping the heck out of it. But the thing is, the danger here is if you look at the bid price here, it's at 3.8 cents basically. So 0382 is what the bid price is. The ask price is at 5 cents. All it takes is for you to get filled at 5 cents and somebody to come right behind you and whack it at, 3.8 and then you have an instant 25% loss right out of the gate. And literally, that is all it takes is somebody to just one person, one trade to sell at this price, and then you've dropped 25% after you've already been filled. Somebody actually got filled here at 785, and they're in some big trouble here. Not only that, but you also have the issue of just really even getting into this. If you look at the orders here, they're not very big. They're only a couple $100 a pop. And so, you know, getting out, or getting in and getting out are going to be a problem for you. So you could be up 400%, but it doesn't mean anything if you can't get out and actually capitalize on that profit. It's going to be a tough sledding for you if you get into something that's this illiquid. A lot of people talk about liquidity when trading penny stocks, and then a lot of your big board guys don't really like the lack of liquidity within penny stocks. And I agree with them. There's certain ones that you want to stay away from, and certain ones that, you know, you could really make some good money off of. You just have to know what to look for. And one of those important things to look for is dollar volume. When we saw this morning, it was like somebody brought it up and said, wow, it's already up, you know, almost 400%, and it was. But the thing was, you have to look at it from all angles. And you look at it, it's like, okay, well, there's only $1,600 that was traded in this thing for all morning at the time. And so, and even really, you know, we're at 1 o'clock almost Eastern time, and it's only got $5,000. People saw, you know, only that amount of people saw value in it. So not every reinstatement is going to be a smart play to get into. You got to take everything into account. You got to look at the dollar volume. You got to look at the share structure and say to yourself, okay, this can move very quickly, but it could also, you know, be that double-edged sword and drop like, you know, before you even know it. So that is an important thing to take note of when you're looking at stuff like this. And that, yeah, we're always looking for reinstatements on like potential reverse merger type plays, but you know, you gotta take everything into account. You can't just look at reinstatement and click the buy button. That's not how this works. You gotta do a little bit more effort, do a little bit more work in order to like really try to determine the value of that stock and if it really can potentially move. Can it move? Sure, but you need a bunch of people in there to start buying it to really get it moving so that you could actually sell at a comfortable level. And so that, again, that's where that liquidity comes into play. So Denny's asking, can you talk about how to know which OTC you could trade and what range is a good buy? Yeah, so, I mean, how to know which OTC to play, it just depends. Again, it really kind of depends on that liquidity. Lots of times I look at unusual volume on stocks. So, like, on one of those quadrants you saw on that screen that I was sharing for my equity feed scanner, I really kind of focus in on the unusual volume a lot of times to try to see maybe why is all of a sudden this stock was dormant or hadn't had a whole lot of volume in quite some time, and now all of a sudden it does. So try to discover why there's buying going on there, and it allows me to try to identify potential value to get into something like that. But again, it has to the dollar volume has to be there. As far as a range is concerned, I don't know if there's really a range I would consider that would be good. You know, I don't know. It's one of those things. You just have to determine the actual dollar volume that rolls in there, and if it's going to be liquid enough for you to be able to get in and get out easily. Obviously, there's got to be other things at play. Maybe there's a potential catalyst that's coming that you want to play into. Maybe the chart looks really good. It's oversold, something like that, and then, you know, and maybe they're not diluting, or maybe the dilution has ended. There's a lot of things that would cause an over-the-counter stock to move. And so you just kind of have to determine that. And one of those first steps is being able to identify it on some unusual volume. Come back to your videos. All right, Greg, have a good one, man. What's up, Dan? How's it going? Do you live stream your mentorship? I'm on the road in the mornings, but would like to listen in. I absolutely do live stream my mentorships. I actually use Zoom. It's a platform. It's pretty popular. It's very easy to use. And I actually allow people to ask questions, physically ask questions, just like, you know, instead of just like in this chat form, people will chime in and they can ask questions through voice. And, you know, it's really interactive. I allow people to do that. I keep them muted most of the time, but, you know, everybody's pretty respectful of the fact that, like, you know, nobody really talks over each other. I find that you get a lot of that sometimes with a lot of members in a group, but we've actually done pretty well at, like, making sure that nobody talks over anybody and that everybody gets their answers questions questioned. I think that like sometimes you get mixed signals whenever there's like actual chatting going on, and sometimes you don't understand somebody's tone or whatever else. So this actually eliminates a lot of that, and I really enjoy using Zoom within my mentorships for that reason. Also, they're always recorded, so Blade Runner Zero, if you're ever worried about missing one, you could always go back and watch it at a later date. I have them stored on WeTradeHQ.com so that you can go back and view them at any point in time. So it makes it nice and convenient. Can you go over an example? 50%, I would jump in. Are you looking at level 2? So I do look at level 2. Denny's asking, can you go over an example? Because if I see 50%, I would jump in. It's not really that simple. So are you looking at level 2? Couldn't quite see the screen. So yeah, I do look at level 2 a little bit. The only reason I'm looking at level 2 though is I'm looking to see if it's being diluted. There's a lot of heavy dilution, but that's really kind of the only reason I'm looking at level 2. Do I pay attention to the bid and asks that much? Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I don't look at it too heavily. What I'm looking for is to see if there's level 2 really like hanging on that for any extended period of time. If something's up 50%, I mean, that's a 50% jump. It's pretty significant, in the grand scheme of things. So you just have to try to determine why it's up 50%. Maybe there's just a bunch of people talking about it, and it could potentially be a pump and dump. Those things happen. So it's very important to be aware of how to identify a pump and dump. Maybe that we can talk about that at a different day as far as like what it is and how to identify one before it even happens. There's a term called front loading. You can really kind of see that on a chart that maybe people are buying this up before an event actually happens. And so it's important to identify those sort of things so that you don't end up in the red yourself. Is SHMP still in play? It actually looked like it was making a good comeback today, so I can share that with you. Let's see. Do I still have that on my watch list? I think I do. I do. Sometimes I just have things on my watch list because I want to see them really kind of. I just like watching them. SHMP has been a fun one to watch, and I always just kind of like to observe it to see how it's been reacting. Had a crazy pullback, really 50-60% pullback from its 90+ cent highs. Came back down to almost 20 cents, and then has made a nice little comeback since then. Is it still a play? I don't know. We look at level 2. There's a lot of dilutive market makers on here. I still say that there's dilution that has to come in at some point, and I'd hate to say that it's going to bring the price down, but it could do that if the dilution is too heavy. If there's still enough dollar volume to move this thing, then I'd say there's probably greener skies for SHMP. But the thing is look, I mean, last week and the week before we saw $20+ million days in dollar volume. And it's starting to slow down here, so that's something to be careful of. If dilution starts to move in and dollar volume isn't there anymore, then we could see a significant decrease in the price per share on SHMP. So that's one thing to keep an eye out for. Maybe there's another catalyst that comes along that provides value for SHMP. I haven't done enough due diligence on this one to really kind of determine as to whether or not maybe there is one. But, again, this is concerning. This is literally less than a quarter of the dollar volume that we're used to seeing from SHMP. Now, granted, there's a lot of less dollar volume throughout the entire OTC today, but having said that, still, SHMP has been an absolute monster over the last several weeks, and to see this slowing down, it may be the beginning of the end for SHMP. Don't want to say that as an absolute thing, that it is going to. Maybe it could run to $1, but like I said, something significant is going to have to happen in order to really kind of bring the buying back into this, I would say. Let's see here. I'll answer one more question. John Murphy's asking if you're okay with specific ticker questions. Any thoughts on LEAS? So yeah, LEAS, it was a reinstatement play. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, John, I remember when it ran, had a nice decent run from the triple zeros. Let's see here. Oh, I already had it pulled up. So LEAS was a reinstatement play, and obviously we like reinstatements. If you look at LEAS from a share structure standpoint, was that updated? I want to say maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Yeah, it hasn't been updated in quite some time, so we don't really know the exact number as far as like share structure is concerned. But it's, interesting to note that there really isn't any dilutive market makers that we can see here. The share structure does move as if, or the price action does move as if the share structure is still relatively small, but they just released share structure. See, that's the thing, John. So I get that maybe they released it on Twitter. I take anything that comes from Twitter with a grain of salt, and I'm not going to take it seriously until I actually see it updated on like OTC markets or something like that. I want to see like something concrete. I mean, maybe Twitter, maybe that tweet is accurate, but I want to see something that is concrete. So, maybe we'll see a nice move from LAS. If the share structure gets updated and we start seeing more moves, there's certainly value to be had here. I mean, even if there's just interest in LAS, if the share structure is small enough, we could see a nice move of this. I mean, this came from 0001, so it should be interesting to see what happens with LAS if that share structure does get updated on OTC markets and we see more developments and filings come through. Their 52-week high was at 0018. That happened last week. We'll see if this goes into 0012, and it looks like it could happen if they continue on with their filings and all the follow-up red tape they have to do after a reinstatement. And maybe they have a merger going on, or maybe there's a major acquisition. There's some reason that they reinstated. We just have to kind of watch this and figure out as to why they're doing whatever it is that they're doing. So there you have it. Prime Crypto, appreciate the kind words there, bud. Certainly appreciate anybody who appreciates hard work. And that's what we do over here at WeTrade HQ. So you have no idea what I'm talking about. This is the first time you're ever visiting my channel. We have a free community. It's called WeTradeHQ.com, and it's not just focused on penny stocks. I know that this channel is, but we designed it. I had a vision for WeTrade HQ with me and my partner Jake to really cater to anybody who is trading in the stock market. And it didn't matter what type of area or strategy you had. We wanted to make sure that you could find it all under one roof. And, so if you're trading, penny stocks, if you're trading options, Forex, if you like to short shares, if you like to short stocks, if you, like to just regular trade big board stocks, whatever it is that you want to trade, ETFs, anything that you want to trade within the stock market, we want WeTrade HQ to be the place for you. So guys, that is all for me today. I'm looking to try to have a podcast this evening. Hopefully we'll have everything in order, and it'll probably be later in the evening today, but I'll keep you updated on that as well. So make sure you stay tuned. If you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that notification bell so that you'll get notified when we go live tonight. And that is all I've got for you guys, folks. So as always, I will see you all before the bell, and B Smith is out. Take care, guys.